The sun was hot that afternoon, the kind of heat that made lizards hide under stones and made the air smell like dry dust. In the middle of the busy Enugu highway, cars moved slowly like tired ants. People sold bananas, sachet water, and roasted corn by the roadside. Life was normal. Life was peaceful, but peace has a way of breaking suddenly. A black Jeep, shining like polished coal, came rolling down the road. The windows were dark. The tires whispered softly on the hot tar. Behind the wheel sat a man whose face everyone knew, Pastor Obinna, the famous man of God. Children shouted, "Daddy Obinna," as the car passed. Market women waved and prayed for him. Men removed their caps in respect. To them, Pastor Obinna was a holy man, a man close to God. He was dressed in his usual way, a spotless white suit, a red tie that shone like ripe pepper, and black shoes that made no sound. His head was bald and smooth like a new calabash. When he smiled, his gold tooth sparkled like morning sunshine. People said his smile could heal a broken heart. "God bless you, my children," he always said with a soft, gentle voice. But that day, something different was in the air. 30 minutes before his arrival, an anonymous call had reached the police checkpoint. "Officer," the voice whispered, "stop the black Jeep. There is evil inside." The officers at the checkpoint stood ready. They had seen the car coming from far. Their hearts beat fast. One officer, Sergeant Musa, held up his hand as the car approached. "Diake." Jeep slowed and stopped. The driver's window rolled down and Pastor Obinna's calm face appeared. "Good afternoon, officers," he said with a warm smile. "I am rushing for a crusade. The Lord's work cannot wait." Sergeant Musa did not smile back. His eyes stayed sharp. The rumors were heavy on his chest. "Good afternoon, sir," Musa replied. "Please step out of the vehicle." Obinna's smile faded, slightly, but he obeyed. He stepped out slowly, hands raised, showing respect. "Is something wrong, officer?" he asked softly. "Just routine check, sir," Musa answered. "Please open your boot." Obinna blinked. His heart beat faster, but his face remained calm. "There's nothing inside, officer, just my preaching materials," he said. "Still, sir, kindly open the boot," Musa insisted, his voice firm. For a moment, silence stood between them like a wall. The other officers shifted nervously. The air became heavier. Then, slowly, Pastor Obinna reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a thick envelope, heavy, full of fresh foreign notes, the kind of money that could solve many problems. He smiled again, that golden smile. "Please, my sons," he whispered, "let me go and do God's work. Take this, for your families, for your troubles." The officers stared at the money. It was enough to feed their homes for months. But Sergeant Musa took a step back. "Sir," Musa said, his voice low but firm, "we don't need your money. Open the boot." Obinna's hand dropped. His smile vanished. Like morning dew, sweat rolled down his bald head, mixing with the dust. "If you won't open it," Musa continued, "we will open it ourselves." Obinna followed them to the back of the Jeep, his steps slow, heavy. The key turned. The boot clicked open. What they saw made their blood freeze. Inside, wrapped in white cloths, were 3 human heads. Fresh, bleeding, eyes still open, staring into nothing. The smell of blood filled the air like hot pepper. One officer covered his mouth, about to vomit. Another shouted, "Blood of Jesus!" The market women nearby screamed. Some fainted. Others fell to their knees, crying. "No, no, not Daddy Obinna," one woman wailed. "The healer, the man of God." Phones came out. Videos started recording. People ran. Some stood frozen, their faces pale with shock. Pastor Obinna stood there, silent. His face was empty, like a man, already dead inside. In minutes, the news spread across the town like fire on dry grass. In shops, in homes, on radios and phones, one question rang. How can a man of God do this? People wept openly. Some cursed. Some sat on the ground, holding Their heads. Obina gave me rice last Christmas, one woman sobbed. He paid my child's school fees. He healed my sick mother, another man shouted. Now the world saw a different face, not the healer, not the giver, but a man standing beside death itself. But the darkest secret was yet to be revealed, because those heads, those 3 heads, belonged to his own daughters, Ada Ngozi Ijoma. The same girls he told everyone were studying abroad. Now their lifeless faces told a different story. And the people asked again, their voices breaking. Why? Before he was called Pastor Obina, he was simply Obina Okeke, the quiet son of a poor farmer in Umuwe's village. His father worked hard under the hot sun, planting cassava and yams. His mother sold vegetables in the market to help feed the family. Life was not easy, but they were happy. As a young boy, Obina always dreamed big. When his friends ran around playing in the rain, he sat under the mango tree reading the Bible. The stories of Moses, Elijah, and Jesus filled his heart with wonder. He wanted to be like them, a man of power, a man who could command the heavens. When Obina turned 18, he left the village and traveled to Lagos. There he joined a small church where he swept the floor, cleaned the chairs, and served the elders. He prayed day and night. He fasted for weeks. He cried to God for power. After many years, his own church, Holy Mountain Revival Church, was born. At first, only a few people attended, but slowly the numbers grew. He healed small sicknesses. He prayed for jobless men who later found work. People started calling him Man of God. Soon the church was full every Sunday. More chairs were added. A choir was formed. The villagers believed God was with him. But as the church grew, so did Obina's hunger. He watched other pastors on television performing great miracles. They made the blind see, the lame walk, and the dead rise. Their churches were massive, their cars luxurious, and their names known worldwide. Obina began to feel small. Why can't I do these great miracles too? He asked himself every night. He prayed harder. He fasted more. But still the big miracles did not come. The whispers began in the town. Maybe Pastor Obina is not strong enough. His prayers are good, but he is not like those big men of God. The words cut him like sharp knives. The shame burned in his heart. His wife, Mama Grace, tried to comfort him. My husband, she said softly, you are already doing God's work. Be patient. But patience was heavy like a sack of wet sand on Obina's back. One day, an old friend named Brother Chuka came to visit him. Obina, Chuka said, looking around, to make sure no one was listening. There is a way. Obina frowned. What do you mean? There are men who can give you real power. The kind that opens blind eyes, makes cripples dance, and fills churches overnight. Obina's heart raced. Real power? Yes, Chuka whispered. But it comes with a price. Obina was silent. His mind battled his soul. The desire for greatness pulled him like a strong river current. Where are these men? Obina finally asked. Chuka smiled, but his eyes grew dark. You must travel deep into the forest of Anambra. There you will find Baba Ero. That night, Obina could not sleep. He walked up and down his room. The moonlight crept through the window, casting shadows that danced, like spirits. His heart was heavy, but the hunger for power was heavier. The next morning, before the sun woke the birds, Obina packed his bag and left. The road to Baba Ero's shrine was narrow and dark. Tall trees stood like silent guards. Strange sounds filled the air. Birds, insects, and whispers that sounded almost human. At last he reached a small hut covered in red cloth and ancient symbols. In front sat an old man with white hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see through Obina's soul. You seek power, Baba Ero said before Obina could speak. Yes, Obina answered, his voice shaking. The power you want is not free, Baba Ero warned. The spirits demand a price. Obina swallowed hard. What price? The blood of what you love the most. Obina's chest tightened. My family. Baba Arrow nodded slowly. The deeper the love, the stronger the power. Obinna looked down. Tears gathered in his eyes. But in his mind, pictures of large churches, television, shows and crowds shouting his name flashed brightly. After a long silence, Obinna whispered, "I accept." Baba Arrow smiled coldly. Then the journey begins. The air inside Baba Arrow's shrine was thick with smoke, thick with fear, thick with unseen spirits watching. Obinna sat on the cold ground. His heart beat like a drum inside his chest. He had crossed a line, and there was no going back. Baba Arrow moved like a shadow, his bare feet making no sound. The old man's voice was dry like Harmattan wind. "You have chosen power," Baba Arrow said. "Now the spirits will eat." Obinna's hands shook. His tongue was dry like old yam. He wanted to speak, but the words refused to come. Baba Arrow opened a wooden box. Inside were strange items: cowrie shells, red cloth, animal bones, and a sharp knife with a black handle. The candle flames danced wildly as if afraid. "Tonight," Baba Arrow continued, "you will give them what they want." Obinna closed his eyes. He thought of his wife, Mama Grace. He thought of his 3 daughters, Ada, Ngozi, and Ijoma. Their laughter still rang fresh in his ears. Their soft hands had once held his face while calling him Papa, but now his hunger for power had become stronger than his love. Baba Arrow handed him the knife. "You know what to do." Tears rolled down Obinna's face as he gripped the cold knife. His hands were heavy, his body weak, but his mind was burning. The dream of greatness, of crowds shouting. His name was louder than his guilt. "When you are done," Baba Arrow said, "come back. The spirits will then pour their power on you." Obinna left the forest before dawn. The morning sun tried to break through the thick clouds, but darkness still held the sky. His footsteps felt heavier than the earth itself. When he reached home, his house was silent, his wife was asleep, his daughters were inside their room. The same room where he had secretly kept them locked for weeks, telling everyone they had traveled abroad for studies. He said it was for their protection, but deep inside, he knew the truth. He opened the door slowly. The girls looked up, surprised. Ada, the oldest, smiled weakly. "Papa, when can we go out again?" she asked softly. Obinna's throat tightened. Ngozi and Ijoma ran to him, holding his legs. "Papa, we miss outside," they cried. He knelt and hugged them tightly, tears wetting their hair. "My angels," he whispered, "forgive me." The night came. The house was still. Mama Grace was away, visiting her sick mother in the village. Only the father and his daughters were home. Obinna prepared the room. Candles burned at every corner. The smell of palm oil and burning herbs filled the air. His daughters slept peacefully, not knowing what awaited them. With trembling hands, he carried them one by one to the center of the room. The spirits whispered in his ears, pushing him forward. He raised the knife. "Forgive me, my children," he cried. The knife came down again and again. The air grew heavy with the smell of blood. The walls of the house seemed to weep. The ground soaked in their innocent lives. When it was done, Obinna stood shaking, his white clothes soaked red. His eyes were empty, like a man lost in a dark river. He wrapped the heads carefully in white cloth, just like Baba Arrow had instructed. His hands were numb. His soul was broken. The next morning, before the world woke, Obinna placed the heads in the boot of his black jeep. He drove back to Baba Arrow's shrine. The road looked longer than before. The trees whispered. The wind carried voices only he could hear. At the shrine, Baba Arrow was waiting. His eyes glowed in the dim light. "You have done well," Baba Arrow said calmly. "The spirits are pleased." He poured red powder on the ground, chanting words from the world of shadows. The spirits answered, in soft, cold winds that blew across Obinna's face. Baba Arrow took a small clay pot, filled it with black liquid, and handed it to Obinna. "Drink," he ordered. Obinna drank. The liquid was bitter like death itself. His body shook. His eyes rolled. He fell to the ground as strange voices filled his head. "You now carry power," Baba Era whispered. "The power to heal, the power to command. But remember, the spirits will come back. Every year they will return. And when they come, they will ask for more." Obina's eyes opened wide. His heart was cold, but his mouth smiled. He was now ready. The power came like a storm. The next Sunday, Holy Mountain Revival Church was filled beyond its walls. People sat outside under the hot sun, wiping sweat from their faces but refusing to leave. They had heard the stories. They had seen the videos. The blind could now see. The lame could now walk. Even the barren women carried babies. Pastor Obina stood tall on the altar. His white suit shone under the bright lights. His voice was calm, but full of strange power. When he spoke, people trembled. "Stand up and walk," he said to a crippled man. The man jumped to his feet. The crowd screamed. Some rolled on the ground. Women cried and waved their headscarves in the air. "Power," they shouted. "Man of God," they screamed. "God has visited us." They wept. Obina smiled, but inside his heart was empty. The spirits whispered in his ears, but the people only saw miracles. Money flowed like a river. Politicians came, celebrities knelt before him. He bought a mansion in Lagos, another in Abuja. His cars shone like polished diamonds. Private jets carried him across Africa. His face appeared on television, his voice on every radio. But deep inside, the spirits waited. 1 year passed. Then, the second year. Each time the spirits came, Obina offered more blood. Small children, strangers, orphans. The spirits were hungry, and with every offering his power grew. But so did his fear. Mama Grace became a shadow in her own house. She no longer knew the man she married. His eyes were cold. His hands were always busy counting money or holding microphones. He stopped touching the Bible. Instead, he whispered to shadows in the night. One night, as rain poured like heaven was crying, Mama Grace confronted him. "My husband," she said, her voice weak but brave. "What have you done?" Obina's eyes flashed like lightning. "I have done what I must," he replied, "for the glory of God." "But where are our daughters, Obina? Where are Ada, Ngozi, and Ijoma?" Obina turned his face away. The pain in his chest was heavy, but he spoke no word. Mama Grace fell to her knees, weeping. She now understood the truth her heart feared for so long. That same night, an anonymous call reached the police. "There is evil hiding behind holy robes," the voice whispered. "Search his car." The next morning, as the sun rose quietly, over the city, Pastor Obina drove his black Jeep towards the church for another crusade. His face was calm, but his mind was full of noise. Suddenly, police officers flagged him down at a busy junction. Their faces were tight, their eyes sharp. "Good morning, Pastor," one officer greeted. "Good morning, my son," Obina replied, smiling. "I am late for God's work." "Please, sir, open your boot, just a routine check." Obina's smile froze. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. The spirits whispered, but now their voices were cold. "There's nothing inside, officer," he said calmly. "Please open it, Pastor. It will only take a minute." Obina paused. His heart pounded like talking drums. Sweat ran down his back. Slowly he stepped out and opened the boot. The officers stepped forward. Inside, wrapped in white cloth, lay the truth. 3 human heads. Fresh. Bleeding. Silent. The air turned heavy. One officer covered his mouth and stepped back. Another whispered, "Blood of Jesus," and the crowd gathered quickly. Phones came out. Women screamed. Some fainted. A man fell to his knees, shouting, "No, not Pastor Obina, not the man of God." The city shook like a tree caught in a mighty storm. News spread like wildfire. Markets closed. People gathered in streets, in churches, in homes, and crying, whispering, shaking their heads. "How can this be?" one woman sobbed. He prayed for my sick child. He paid my rent, another shouted. He gave us food, others cried. But the truth sat heavy on their hearts. The same man who healed them had fed the spirits with blood. As police handcuffed him, Pastor Obinna lowered his head. His white suit was stained with shame. "Why?" one officer asked softly. Obinna whispered, his voice like dry wind. "The hunger. It was too strong." The crowd wept. The rain began to fall again, as if the heavens themselves were mourning. And as Pastor Obinna was taken away, the people were left with a bitter question that no one could answer. How far will a man go for power? Dear listener, this is not just a tale of Pastor Obinna. This is a warning. In every village, in every city, there are men wearing holy clothes but walking with evil spirits. Look well. Pray well. Not every miracle comes from God. If you want more African folktales like this, comment more and share this story to warn others.